So about 16 hours ago, a bunch of Bethesda devs actually did a Q&A on Reddit, and I just want to thank Rifle Gaming for bringing this to my attention. I'll leave his video down in the description where he goes over this. But I want to do my own one, so here is the first thing I just want to cover. And I've already opened this, so let's take a look at it. Basically, someone asked, will we see a story DLC in the future around the Enclave or the Brotherhood of Steel? And a Bethesda dev said, I love the Brotherhood of Steel. It was a joy working on them in Fallout 76, so you're not alone in wanting more with them and the Enclave. So, it's not really confirming anything, but it seems like they're hinting at something. But then I'll go down again and we'll get to the main one, which is this one, which I've opened to, which, same question. And then another Bethesda dev responds, let's just say the Brotherhood of Steel is now watching the wasteland of West Virginia very closely. So this pretty much 100% confirms that the Brotherhood is going to return in some way. And the other one seems kind of weird that they would also say it this way. But I guess I'll get more into it in a second. And it's kind of funny that they released this information now because I was in the middle of writing a video about how the Brotherhood and the Enclave could return. Once again, after my previous one. So I guess I'll use a lot of content that I was going to use in my other video in this one. So I'll sort of start off with how the Brotherhood is probably going to return and actual sort of evidence pointing towards it in the game at the moment. And the way that they're actually going to return, I believe it is some of the possibilities that I went over in my video about how the Brotherhood and the Enclave could return. In fact, I actually believe it is a combination of multiple ways. Any assortment of the ones I'm about to list. So pretty much, I said that the Brotherhood most likely left the area, or well, I should say, the remainder of the Brotherhood after Operation Touchdown left the area and possibly retreated to any military installations that they could have gone to and just wait there and possibly increase their numbers and regroup until the Scorched were pretty much gone or they were at a level where they could fight the Scorched again. The second possibility, well, in my original video, it was basically that ex-military members might try and start the Brotherhood again, but I believe that if the Brotherhood do return, it will be through original members. So it is still sort of relevant of how more ex-military members could become part of the Brotherhood, but I don't think that they would be starting it again. And now I'm going to go over some evidence that could support this argument. The first one is a clip, so just listen to this that I recorded while I was playing the Wastelanders story.
There are plenty of government facilities in Appalachia. More if you head north. What's so special about this one?
So, as Dr. Penelope Hornwright states there are plenty of government facilities up north from the area you're in. And this supports the idea that the Brotherhood may have left the area to head to any sort of government facility where they could regroup. And you may be asking why they wouldn't go to any in the area. Well, they would still be in danger of being attacked by Scorch there, and any that are underground, say the missile silos, are too high level access for them to get in, if they even know about them. And there is a possibility that there is just bases we might not know about in Appalachia, which I'll come back to later. But for now, I'm going to provide more evidence that leans towards the two options I've just suggested being possible. So here's another clip from my Wastelanders story that I played.
Oliver Fields, Captain, United States Army. Now that we got the pleasantries out of the way, I have one question for you. Why the hell are you planning on stealing America's gold reserve? Uncle Sam not give you enough hugs and kisses while he was keeping you safe in that vault? We've been heading back down from up north. Before you ask why it took so long, take a long, hard look at your day-to-day in Appalachia.
And this one too.
We were in contact with them before. Lieutenant Taggarty seemed like a fine soldier. Then they just kind of dropped off the radar.
So to summarize what happened in those scenes, you meet former US Army soldiers and they say that they've come from up north, as well as that they were in contact with Paladin Elizabeth Taggarty. And she was the leader of the Brotherhood of Steel in Appalachia, if you didn't know. While this doesn't confirm that there's a lot of government facilities up north, it does at least confirm that there were some surviving military personnel from up there, as well as the fact that they were in contact with the Brotherhood of Steel. It means that the Brotherhood could have been in contact with other military units from outside of Appalachia as well that could, in the new DLC or whenever the Brotherhood of Steel does return, be part of the Brotherhood. And the last bit of evidence I want you to think about is the Raiders in Wastelanders. Because if you didn't know, Meg, who is the leader of the Raiders, she was actually in Appalachia before the Scorch destroyed it. And she actually led a group of raiders, I'm not exactly sure where, but just out of the region, and they basically came back in Wastelanders, so it just proves that some groups could have just left the area and came back. There's also one more possibility that I think is pretty likely, and it's that the Brotherhood is in some sort of bunker or underground facility. And this is sort of backed up by the communist spies that you can find in the Deep, which is a location under the White Springs Golf Course. And it seems that these communist spies have survived since before the war, and they've been down here while Appalachia was pretty much getting destroyed by the Scorched. So it's not too far-fetched to think that the Brotherhood could have done something like this, and we just haven't found the location of the facility that they're in yet. And before I move on to talking about the Enclave, I just want to say it can be more than one of these options. Like, they could be hiding in a bunker somewhere, as well as some of the Brotherhood forces that did just leave the area. So, yeah, that's just something to think about. But now I'm going to move on to talking about the Enclave and their future in Fallout 76. So, I thought I'd go back to the Reddit Q&A for starters, and specifically where this person has asked when, or rather if, the Enclave and the Brotherhood of Steel are going to return. And one of the Bethesda devs has said that it was a joy working on them in Fallout 76, so you're not alone in wanting more with them and the Enclave. And it is kind of a stretch to say that this would be a hint, like, or they're teasing something, but it would just be weird that they would mention it like that if they don't have any plans for it. And I am about to go over some stuff that would point towards the Enclave actually returning, so let's get into that now. So what I was talking about with there being evidence pointing towards the Enclave returning, at least in some capacity, is the various Atomic Shop items and the Race for Presidency event. And if you didn't know, this event has been in the game since launch, but Bethesda just hasn't implemented it. And it's clear that some part of that event involves you unlocking the president's room in the White Spring bunker and actually becoming the president. Now, this room is still locked in the current version of Fallout 76. Now, maybe these Atomic Shop items have something to do with the event. Maybe it's going to be something like how they did the Responders bundles in the Atomic Shop. But doesn't it just seem weird that now that they have NPCs in the game and the Brotherhood are seemingly going to make a return, they wouldn't add the Enclave back into the game? It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I've made videos with plenty of ways the Enclave could return. And the most recent one I made was discussing the Secret Service and whether they could be part of the Enclave. And I still think they are, but they wouldn't bring back the Enclave just by themselves. If the Enclave returns in some other form, then they may be part of it in some way, but I don't think it could return with just them. And then the last thing I want to talk about is if both of these factions do return, how will it look like in-game? Will it be like the Settlers and the Raiders, where you just pick one to do the main story with, and then there's not really any interaction between the two after that? Which I'm still hoping there is a main story, but possibly after that, could there be some sort of faction war? Like, players side with one of the factions for the whole event, and then you help them win it, and you get rewarded? Could it be something like that? I mean, that would be pretty cool to see. But if they do introduce some sort of faction war, I do still hope that there is a story to it. That's all from me now. So if you want to know more about the future of Fallout 76, then I'll leave a link to Rifle Gaming's video in the description, as well as the Reddit article. So now that that's done, consider dropping a like and consider subscribing. But other than that, I will see you next time.